Good evening and welcome back to Prime of Midlife. It's Tuesday evening, and this evening I wanted to talk payments. Payments and lack thereof, even. There's a report in one of the papers today about the problems in the house building industry, problems with the number of construction firms gone into liquidation, problems with the number of houses being built, problems with the amount of supplies being bought, the length of time it takes planning to get done, etc. And for a lot of these, especially the smaller construction firms that maybe build 50 to 100 houses a year, a lot of the problems are coming with payment. And where that's coming from is, unless they're actually a firm that builds their own houses, many construction firms are subcontractors for bigger firms. And the bigger firms are subcontractors for other bigger firms. Or you have construction companies who do work for insurance companies or for councils, etc., etc. And there's a thing starting now. Well, it's not starting now, it's been happening more and more. And it's been reported over the last couple of years that smaller companies are starting to struggle to get paid because the bigger companies want to keep their profits up, and especially with interest rates rising, what they want to do is keep their money in the bank as long as possible so they can gain as much interest as possible before they pay anything. But where that becomes a problem is that your bigger companies are keeping their multi-millions in their bank as long as possible. But by the time it comes from, your huge house builders to their medium-sized house builders, who then put it down to the smaller contractor, who then subcontracts to the roofing contractor, that's 4 or 5 steps. Now, each of those steps is going to take time. And those delays get longer and longer. So your poor wee roofer down the bottom, he's got a huge delay because he's having to wait until this gets processed through 6 different people. And a lot of them are not doing it anymore. A lot of construction firms, roofers, electricians, plumbers, etc. are not doing it anymore. They're not subcontracting anymore because they can't get paid on time. And that is no good to man their beast. Now, apart from the construction industry, that has also happened with farmers who get paid through supermarkets or through firms that supply supermarkets, etc., etc. You've also got your lorry drivers. Now, there's a lot of lorry drivers in this country who are not part of your Eddie Stobart type thing. They are just single guys or small firms, maybe 4 or 5 lorries. And they cannot afford to keep those lorries in diesel, road tax, mechanical repairs if they're not getting paid on a regular basis. And what's happening, as I say, is that many, many places now are stopping working for the bigger companies. And it's having a knock-on effect. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes, because you know yourself, if you work for the month, you expect to get paid on payday. Now, if push comes to shove and there was something happened with the bank, you could maybe last 1 day or 2 days. You don't expect to have to wait another month. That's just not good. So I think this is something that's going to reflect on a lot of companies throughout the world, really. I mean, I'm talking about the UK, but I don't think it's any different anywhere else. So yeah, it seems that payments seem to have slowed down, especially to the smaller companies at the bottom. and that is not a good thing. There's also a shortage of trades, just depending on where you are. Funnily enough, when the lady that bought mum and dad's house, she was buying it to develop it, and when she realised I worked with a construction company, she's like, "Do you know a tailor? Would your tailor do a homer? Because I cannot get a tailor for love nor money." Now that was obviously quite some time ago, but she was struggling then, and as far as I know, I would presume because she was doing high-end properties, I would presume that she was paying decent money. There are a lot of places where the money's just not there. I mean, Mandy and I, we went looking through Indeed. Can I just mention? Not for any other reason apart from Kathleen. We are quite happy in our job. We love our boss. So just in case anyone knows my boss, I have got no intention of leaving there. But we were looking at Indeed to try and help Kathleen. And I'm shocked at the wages that people are putting out there, especially in what I would class as the cost of living crisis. For some of them, I don't know how you're expected to live on that. Because, I know what I make, I know what it costs me, and I know how much money I've saved myself by prepping and buying reduced food, etc. But some of the jobs, you're like, that surely is not worth it for someone if they have to do more than like walk 500 yards to get to that place to work. So I think they may say the economy is turning round with, interest rates are going up. That's great for savers, not so much for people who want mortgages, etc. But inflation's coming down, so everything will be fine once inflation comes down. I don't think so. Because just because inflation comes down doesn't mean that everything goes back to where it was before. Can you imagine the petrol stations putting the prices back to where they were like pre-COVID type thing or pre-Ukraine invasion thing? That's not going to happen. Farmers who've paid really high prices for their diesel, for their fertiliser, for the drying costs for grain with their energy prices, they've paid that out already. They have to recoup that. And they can't just suddenly drop the prices because the supermarkets say, "Oh, this is what we're getting." They're going to stop selling to them. So, what does that mean? Prep more. Kathleen and I will be making a list for the supermarket for this weekend because it's payday. Obviously, last payday I didn't have Kathleen here, so there will be things that Kathleen will want that I will need to get. Thank you so much to everyone for all your lovely comments on Kathleen's first video. She has made another one, which we'll probably put out tomorrow morning. So I'm not telling you anything about it apart from the fact of the food was literally ready when I walked in the door tonight, so that was perfectly timed. And we will be having cunning plans as to where we're going once we get shopping sorted. So I shall go and leave you. Hope you have a good evening. I'll catch you later.